Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I don't think Jurassic Park needs any introduction. It's one of the highest grossing media franchises of all time. Forget films, there are over 40 licensed Jurassic Park video games. A disproportionate amount of which are just named Jurassic Park, by the way. So I can comfortably say I have played a few over the years. But none have stuck with me quite like Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. A park management sim akin to Zoo Tycoon, but with advanced 3-dimensional graphics. I sunk dozens of hours into this game as a child. I found the disc in a bargain bin at Costco sometime in the mid-2000s. I actually still have it. Amongst my entire physical PC game collection, this and Star Wars Battlefront are the only two that have managed to remain in my possession. One day, buddy. I think it's safe to say I'm a fan. So, how does JPOG stand up 21 years later? Well, for starters, we need to acquire the game. It's not available for sale on any digital storefront, so your options are either to buy it off eBay or find a download. Despite owning the game, I used one of the abandonware versions for this video. That way I can at least make sure one of them works. Download and install. There's also an easier version of the game to install on archive.org that doesn't involve mounting discs. Now that we have the game, there's the unfortunate realization that this was made with 4x3 monitors in mind. If you want to avoid black bars on the side, I suggest using DG Voodoo 2. No amount of messing with config files or downloading other people's files did anything for my copy. If you don't know how to use DG Voodoo, there's a guide on the PC Gaming Wiki. My configuration settings are on screen if it helps. This is an extra step you can skip, but I also went into my graphics control panel to force FXAA, 4xAF, and a 60 frames per second cap. The first two are for aesthetics, but I would recommend that frame rate cap. Old games can do weird things when played at frame rates they were never designed to achieve. Alright, with that settled, let's talk a bit of history before we get into the game itself. Released March 12, 2003 for the PC, PlayStation 2, and Xbox Original, Operation Genesis is the brainchild of Australian studio Blue Tongue Entertainment. Their name might not be familiar to most, but their pedigree probably is due to the amount of licensed games they made, including Starship Troopers Terran Ascendancy. Man, I really need to play that game. It apparently impressed Universal enough to give Blue Tongue the Jurassic Park license. For this section, I'll be paraphrasing an exhaustive blog post made by Kevin Chan, the director and project manager of Operation Genesis. It's a long read, but I highly suggest checking it out for yourself because it details just about everything with the game's development. According to Chan, the development of Operation Genesis was a challenge unto itself. As a company, Blue Tongue had never made a game for consoles, never mind multi-platform support. Additionally, the team needed to make a new engine called Toshi in order to accommodate the scope of Operation Genesis. These factors combined necessitated doubling the development team's size from 20 to 40 people. Despite the lack of experience, Blue Tongue would ship a game on 3 platforms in 22 months. That is some serious talent being crunched. Chan goes on to detail just about every aspect of development, but there are 2 points I want to focus on. Foremost is the dinosaur AI. The AI in Operation Genesis is incredibly advanced for its time, more so than I had originally thought. There's a sort of neural net system driving a dinosaur's perception, allowing them to classify an in-game object as friend, foe, food, etc. It even accounts for if a dinosaur has or has not encountered this thing before. Once classified, that data is sent to the dinosaur's behavioral drive system. This system determines all possible behavior and motivations by tracking which one is most dominant at the time. These motivations include hunger, thirst, tiredness, territoriality, and self-preservation. The behavioral drive system determines which need is the most prevailing at the present moment in time. This then leads to the behavioral execution system, which carries out the actions needed to fulfill that drive. i.e., if a dinosaur is hungry and it sees food, it'll go eat the food. And different species have different parameters that cause them to fulfill drives in unique ways from one another. The AI in these dinosaurs is incredibly advanced for the time, and is the driving factor for why they feel like living creatures being simulated on my computer screen when compared to something contemporary. But of course, with such a complicated system and short development time, some things were lost along the way. While 40 different species of dinosaurs had been planned, this was cut down to 25 due to time constraints. Furthermore, the team decided to focus on terrestrial dinosaurs. This meant all marine and aerial creatures had to go, never to be seen again until Jurassic World Evolution 2, 18 years later. What is perhaps the greatest lost feature were baby dinosaurs, which only ever made it to the experimentation stage. Chan says the easy method of scaling the adult dinosaurs down didn't look good. Implementing them properly would require new models on top of specialized AI. More importantly, time they didn't have. Which is a shame because the cascading effect of no babies meant no dino petting zoo. It wasn't the only building lost in development either. Chan details cut content like hotels and a dino vet station that were removed due to design decisions and console hardware constraints. Operation Genesis would go on to sell over 400,000 units by the year 2008. And we only know this because an Australian museum, ACMI, made a detailed presentation in 2008 about the history of Australian game development. That number is shockingly low. It's less than Cold Fear's total sales by, at most, 100,000. No wonder I found it at a bargain bin at Costco a couple years later for like $30. Granted, Operation Genesis did take less time and was made with 20 fewer people, so the expenditures were significantly less. There's a chance this game might have made a slight profit, but probably not more than that. No well, at least Blue Tongue was able to keep living for a while longer until The Blob 2 didn't save THQ from itself. But enough about history, let's talk about the visuals on display. One of the most common points of critique on release was Operation Genesis's visuals. They were considered dated by the standards of 2003, never mind modern times. I absolutely love this game, but I have taken steps to make it look better. Even I admit that the visuals on display are pretty subpar when compared to contemporaries like Max Payne 2 or SSX 3. Hell, the people who made it knew it was a problem. Kevin Chan's blog post even dedicates an entire section of the game's failures to its visuals. I could detail fuzzy textures, abstract modeling in places, and a general lack of visual variation. But I think that comes across well enough in the footage. Instead, I want to spend this time gushing about the dinosaur models. Because holy shit, they put the effort in. Most of the famous friends from the films were fervently fabricated for our favor. Brachiosaurus, Ceratosaurus, Stegosaurus, Spinosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Velociraptor, and more. Plus, actual dinosaurs not featured in the films like Edmontosaurus were brought to life to fill out the roster, including my personal favorite dinosaur, Allosaurus. A certain Walking with Dinosaurs VHS might have had something to do with that. I'm gonna acknowledge that paleontology is basically fan fiction with rocks, but, the idea that packs of these guys chased around herds of the largest terrestrial creatures ever is metal as fuck. Anyway, the soundscape of Jurassic Park OG is a huge selling point. At least 2 songs by legendary composer John Williams made it into the game. Maybe more if my ears don't deceive me. Or maybe they do because Stefan Schutz's attempt at making music sounds just like Williams' score. To the point that I'm not comfortable playing any music from this game in isolation for fear of a copyright strike. But I will happily play the dinosaur noises, especially since many of these are sourced directly from the movies. T-Rex go roar. There's even callouts from various movie characters providing your park updates. Judging by the game's credits, I don't think they brought back any actors to reprise their roles. At least everyone's trying their best.
Excellent work.
Shout out to Peter Kent's hyper-Australian Robert Muldoon.
Don't just sit there. Can you help us with this?
I legitimately love it, and I'm not even sure if this guy was a professional or not. Guess all they needed to do was just grab a bloke off the street of Melbourne and ask him to read a few lines. Overall, though, the sound is mostly faithful to what it's trying to adapt, and that's all I really cared about. Sure, some sounds are mixed weird or a touch out of place, but again, T-Rex go roar. Besides, you have more important things to worry about, like turning a profit on your luxury dinosaur park while your initial investment is $60,000. And if that's $1990, it would be almost $144,000 today, which, frankly, is not a lot of money to work with when playing God! That's money for a house or to start a business, not revivification of theropods. No wonder shit went wrong in the movies. They were deities on a dime. Anyway, with such a small amount of money to work with, your initial dreams of a park are going to be limited. Think of the sad petting zoo at your local county fair. Small enclosures with too many animals and a sense that you're getting ripped off at every step. I made sure those prices are fairly unreasonable. Want into the park? $350. Balloon ride? That'll be $200. Gift shop? Easy $20. Bathroom? Oh, you know we're going European. $2 a use. The money must flow. But with more money comes the ability to do a whole heck of a lot. You can perform research, hire fossil hunting teams, or expand the dinosaur offerings of your park. The more and better dinosaurs that you have, the more stars your park receives. I'm not sure which tourist board is rewarding them, but I appreciate it all the same. Each full star grants access to a new fossil dig site, which in turn means new dinosaurs. Sadly, you'll be limited to only 6 dig sites, so make sure you grab the dinos you absolutely want. There are no take-backsies. Resurrecting dinosaurs is a complicated process best explained by Mr. DNA,
Bingo.
but for brevity's sake, DNA is extracted from fossils until the genome sequence is complete. However, you're able to create dinosaurs with as little as half their genome using DNA from other creatures to fill the gaps. The only downside is their health. Dinosaurs created with less than 100% genome typically have significantly shorter lifespans. Think this dinosaur has 6 months to live instead of 5 years. And when the dinosaurs pass, they will need replacing in order to maintain cash flow and star ratings. That costs cash money, so it's in your best interest to try and fill out these genomes. Especially since dinosaurs can catch a variety of different diseases. Each one has a vaccine that will need to be researched individually in order to inoculate your herds. I think completing a genome makes the dinosaurs less susceptible to disease, but this could just be confirmation bias or the fact that you can get an auto-immunization upgrade for your hatcheries. I mentioned it in the development section, but I want to reiterate that the AI driving these dinosaurs makes them feel incredibly real when compared to contemporaries. No two species behave exactly the same way, and that carries down to the individual dinosaur. I know this is because the AI is ranking various needs of an individual to determine a course of action, but the fact that this system was so granular makes it that much more special. Like, this is more akin to something I would expect from the Sims AI and not random dinosaur AI in a Jurassic Park game. Watching some Gallimimus learn in real time that the T-Rex is not their friend is interesting, to say the least. When building your park, your only real limitations are going to be your imagination, your budget, and the number of buildings you can create. Each building has a hard limit for the number that can be placed within your park. This is almost assuredly so the game could run on consoles at the time, but it results in me running out of benches, trash cans, and fences to place. Yeah, that's right. There's a limit to how many fences you can build. You know, the things keeping dinosaurs locked up and not eating people. Another limitation that I did not enjoy, even if I know how to quickly mod it and the starting cache in the config files. When dealing with dinosaurs, one must understand the inherent risks of dealing with an ancient creature we have little concrete knowledge about. However, your customers often don't know and don't care. Any lapse in security that results in visitor fatalities will be coming out of the park's pockets. Thus, it is best to plan for the future. Ranger stations are absolutely needed in a crisis, but so are emergency shelters. And before that even happens, perhaps it is best to place cameras and sentry guns in key areas. That way, when the raptors are getting rowdy, or there's a storm a-coming, you will be prepared for almost any eventuality. Just make sure to get the dinosaur retirement upgrade for the ranger copters in case a dinosaur can't be rehabilitated. For whatever reason, they couldn't talk about shooting the dinosaurs. I'm not sure if this was an Australian thing or a mandate from Universal, but the fact that I'm retiring dinosaurs with headshots gave a young me some cognitive dissonance. While building your own park is the main draw for JPOG, it's not the only thing to do. There are exercises to teach new players the game's different mechanics, missions to test your understanding of these mechanics, and Site B. Now, in case you've never seen Jurassic Park 2 or 3, Site B is the island where the dinosaurs are roaming free. It's a long story. Something about a hurricane of bankruptcy. The Site B mode lets you create your own dinosaur ecosystem. Only buildings related to dinosaur care can be constructed, and you start by selecting 6 dig sites to source your dinosaurs from. You are then free to watch the dinosaurs roam around on the island, living their little lives. I actually spent way more time as a kid playing Site B than the actual park building mode. Can't blame myself either. Dinosaurs are fun to watch. Although I would also do a lot of weird things like, create dinosaur fight pits or design a park where the people are inside a cage and the dinosaurs roam free. It is only now, after describing this game in detail, that I realize I don't see Jurassic Park Operation Genesis as a game. Instead, it's a Jurassic Park simulator from the early 2000s to me, and I think that might be the greatest compliment I can give Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Now, if you aren't satisfied with what's in the base game, there's always modding. JPOG has a somewhat active modding community. Things from updated textures, new buildings, new species, and the restoration of planned content like aerial dinosaurs. There's even a mod that ports the game to DirectX 9 and slaps an unnecessary amount of effects on top. All of this despite there being contemporaries in Jurassic World Evolution, which, I realize, by mentioning I may have opened a high pressurized can of Mongolian death worms, but hear me out, okay? I think Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2 are fine. I think both games nickel and dime their players with the paradox levels of DLC, but I also think the ability to see exactly what is upsetting my dinosaurs is great. Whereas in Operation Genesis, I often had to guess at what is causing a tantrum. However, I also recognize that the Evolution series are different experiences with different goals from the freeform experience that is Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Evolution assumes you can build a competent park and wants to provide a challenge. Genesis thinks you're a child who likes dinosaurs and wants to build your own dinosaur park. I'm cool with both, I just need to be in different mindsets to play each game. And that's about it for Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. There isn't any real story that I can reference considering I'm not even sure the events of the first movie occur in this universe. I think this is a great Jurassic Park simulator that manages to be engaging from an interactive standpoint despite shortcomings. Although I am still biased as hell considering I own a physical copy damn near 20 years later. If you want to play Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, you can find it on eBay for an exorbitant amount of money or at an abandonware site near you. The next video is definitely going to take me some time. It involves an RTS from a galaxy far, far away. Or a biomechanical shooter. Depends on which I manage to finish first. Thanks for watching. More garbage to come.
"お前はもう死んでいる."